And so I started to realize that TV was really junk food for the mind, if you will. I would see other families be screen free and I would be like, how the heck do they do that? And so what made us finally get rid of it? Hello YouTube, thank you for clicking on this video. If you have clicked on this video, there's probably a great chance that you and your family are considering getting rid of your TV. And before we dive in, I would love to encourage you that if my TV obsessed family of 6 could get rid of our TV, you can too. If you would like to hear more about how practically we got rid of our TV, keep watching. 7 months ago now, we got rid of our TV. We, for years, contemplated, went back and forth. It's something we have wanted to do for a very long time. And honestly, it just felt really impossible and really out of reach. I would see other families be screen-free and I would be like, how the heck do they do that? It felt impossible. The reality was we would still put the TV on at least once, usually more than once every day. And so what made us finally get rid of it? Well, there were a couple reasons and things that happened, realizing how addicted our kids were to it. That wasn't always the case when they were younger, but when our oldest started getting into like 5, 6, we started realizing, oh, this is like an addiction. Like he was actually addicted to it. When we would wake up in the morning and that was like the first request out of most of our kids' mouths was, TV, can we watch a show? I was like, this needs to change. It's easy for me to put it on and to, get my things done or just be slothful and lazy for an hour and scroll on my phone or whatever else. But we would start our mornings off with the TV show and it just set the rest of the day off. Looking back, I honestly feel having the TV, although during when we had a TV, it felt like, oh, it's easier, have your me time and to rest and to just kind of like debrief a little bit. But looking back, actually, it didn't make parenting easier. I think it actually made it harder because what would happen when we would turn off the TV, there would be tantrums. It would affect the way that they would play with each other. They would be so overstimulated that I just felt like the rest of the day was really negatively impacted by the TV that they were consuming. So then requesting it first thing in the morning was something for us where we were like, okay, this is not okay, this needs to change. But I think the major thing that did it for us was when my husband and I, we were kind of figuring out what philosophy of education we wanted to give our kids in homeschool, since we are a homeschooling family. We both discovered Charlotte Mason / classical education. And for us, that was really transformative for us. I feel like it's now has shaped us as parents, our family, the things that we want to allow into our home and the things we want to allow to shape our kids, because they are being formed every single day. And so we slowly started to integrate, rich old literature into the home. And I noticed 2 things. One, they started to surround their imaginative play around these characters, around these stories that we were introducing to them, which was amazing to see. The second thing that happened was it was extremely hard to get them to the place of wanting to listen to and to read and to dive into these stories together. We could click the TV and they can jump into this imaginative world with these cartoons and shows and whatnot, and it was easier. And so I started to realize that TV was really junk food for the mind, if you will. I think most of us can admit that it is way easier to eat a bowl of chips than a bowl of broccoli. And I think that was kind of what I was realizing was, I want to give my kids healthy food, a healthy diet for their body so they can grow and be nurtured in the way that they need to as these little people growing up. And how much more so for their brain and for their mind and for their imagination. So that for me was when I realized that we really needed to detox the junk food for the brain for a little bit and to kind of reevaluate and see how are we going to implement a new way of nourishing their minds and nourishing our minds as the adults, as the parents as well. We would also veg out on TV shows as well in the evenings, just him and I. So that being introduced to Charlotte Mason classical education really was what did it for us. And so we got rid of it. And I've heard from experts who have like studied this field of technology and the brains and what it does to young kids. And they say that 2 weeks of detox is really when it like is finally detoxed from the system. And so we started with 2 weeks off and prayed, thought a lot about what we wanted to do to reintroduce, these tools, specifically, movies and shows back into our kids' life. So anyways, we got rid of it, and things I noticed pretty quickly was, one, they really did have to detox from it. It was, the habit of sitting down on the couch and watching TV was something they needed to break. And same with my husband and I, we also needed to break that habit as well. So the detoxing needed to happen. But also I was reading books like Narnia to them. We were reading Tale of Despereaux and Charlotte's Web at the time. And I saw their play be shaped by these stories and by these people and by these characters. And what was cool about it was they were more virtuous people compared to the characters that we were surrounding them with these cartoons that we were letting them watch. The characters we were reading about were brave and selfless and all of these great things that we want to give our boys and instill into our boys as little young men. And so as I saw them less and less asking for TV and more craving a better nutrition for their brains, that for us was, okay, this is, I think, a forever decision for our family. I don't think we're going to be putting our TV back up. And so we started a new tradition for our family, and now we have movie nights once a week. One of us gets to pick a movie. We have a family of 6. It's only 5 of us choosing because we have a baby. Obviously, he doesn't choose. We take turns. And so every Saturday, one of us will pick a movie. We will make some yummy dessert. And instead of TV being a place of like shoving them off and allowing them to have their time and I get to do something else, we now come together as a family. I just asked my oldest son, who is almost 7 now, if he misses having the TV in the house, and he said no, he loves our movie nights. And they never ask for TV now because they don't watch it throughout the week. We know on Saturday nights we're gonna watch a movie. Sometimes on Saturday mornings I'll let them watch a cartoon, but for the most part it's usually just Saturday nights. And I feel like for the first time the past 7 months, we're finally creating good habits surrounding screens and surrounding the TV. For our movie nights, we don't have a TV. We get the projector out, we put it on the wall, and it's just so magical and so great. I just love it so much. I love the magic of the boys are running to get the projector ready and they're setting up their room for the movie night, and we're taking off the things off their wall, like the pictures we have hung up, and we know what to do now. And it's just so fun. I love it. My boys love it. They don't miss TV. I really thought they were gonna be depressed without a TV. And here they are, and they don't miss it at all. Okay, so practically speaking, how did we realistically eliminate the screens from our home in a way that was sustainable for all of us? So things that have helped us greatly with actually making the leap and being a screen-free family. The number one thing has been reading books. I know that's so cliche, and maybe you don't like reading, and you know what, I was never a big reader until recently. But as I started reading these stories to my boys, it's like my favorite thing to do now in the world is to read to my boys. I used to really dislike reading books to my kids, and I realized the reason why I didn't like it was because we were reading really, like Charlotte Mason calls it, twaddle books, almost like junk food books, if that makes sense. And so now that we're reading actually like life-giving stories with these living ideas, with these characters that you fall in love with and they become a part of you, it's been so life-giving for all of us. And it's something that we're doing together. We're diving into these new worlds together, my boys and I, and my husband as well when he reads with us. And it's incredibly bonding as a family. My boys are playing Narnia with Peter and Edmund, and I'm playing Lucy. And it is such a great way to fill our time, one, to fill our minds. And it's something that we do in the morning for school. And then we usually do like a late afternoon snack time, and I'll read our free read book. So I encourage you, if you're not a big reader, if your kids don't like sitting and reading, one, that might be because they're used to a different type of appetite for their mind, and that's okay. It's never too late. Start today, start tomorrow, start next week. Pick up a good book and let it just take you to another world. I think you realize that your kids are capable of consuming really rich, beautiful things, and they don't have to consume these super, overstimulating, cheesy characters, and those things don't have to necessarily consume them, and they don't have to shape them as people. They can be shaped by really beautiful stories and books and things. So books is the number one thing that has changed for our family. We've started actually reading together, and it's been life-changing. That might sound very cheesy, but I really do feel like it's changed all of our lives. Now, I guess this kind of goes hand in hand, but another thing we have done is audiobooks. We use our Yodo Mini has become our best friend in this house. My boys love this. I did not think they would. It is a lot of money. I think it's worth the investment. But if money is an issue, you can use podcasts. You can use Spotify. They have a bunch of free stories available, audiobooks available. You could even just buy a $10 Bluetooth speaker and just use your phone. It works just the same. I think it's fun to have cards for them to choose from. They love picking the stories, feeling it with their hands, and like making that choice themselves without me having to be around. And so I think for us, it's been worth it having this because of how often they use it and how much they enjoy it. But like I said, if money's an issue, you can use Spotify and podcast app, and this is just a fancier version of that. But this has been great. This has also helped for, instead of like putting the TV on, I put a story on, we'll put snacks out, and they're usually very content with that. Something else that has helped, although I want my kids to have times to be bored and, you know, to not have like their schedule filled to the brim with activities, I also do want to give them activities because I'm raising 4 boys. They love using their hands. They love being helpful and useful. And so giving them new hobbies, giving them things to fill their time, I have found has been really good for all of us. And so that could be as simple for us and our family as like just getting kinetic sand out, we have these little wax sticks that they love to use, telling them, hey, can you make Pooh Bear? We just read Winnie the Pooh. Can you know? And so things like that, going outside, collecting chicken eggs, giving them just like activities throughout the day. Right now it's summertime, so it's super easy for us to get outside. We live in a place that has 4 seasons, which I love, and it changes obviously with each season how our outdoor time looks. But right now it's summer, they can go outside, and honestly, they are outside a lot. They're outside right now with my husband, I think cleaning the chicken coop. I don't know what they're doing, but they are outside a lot. It's good for them. It's good for me. I do have to embrace the mess a little bit more because they are playing more now without a TV, but it doesn't mean that our house has to be chaotic and without order. Although sometimes they drag in mud, I just sometimes have to embrace the mess, and they're only going to be kids once. And so dirt and things are great. I love that they're playing outside and getting dirty. My kids and I go on a nature walk once a week. That's also been so great for all of us, for just our mental well-being, for our physical, for our souls. It's so good for us to be out. Something else is just getting a blanket out, getting some watercolor painting out, and painting nature journaling. It's a great way to allow the kids to explore their surroundings and be attached to the things around them and seeing them change throughout seasons, the leaves falling and changing colors. That has been really good for my boys. I feel like all of us, including my husband and I, have picked up new hobbies as well because we have more time to do things. And so, for example, my boys right now have been learning how to sew. They're sewing these little animal stuffies and they've been loving it. I have a lot of other things that I want to start introducing to them with just new hobbies. My husband and I have been reading more. I would say that's a big hobby for us. But I'm a songwriter. I've been using this time to write more songs, even just when I'm like, okay, what do I do with myself? I'll just get my notebook out and start writing. I've been writing poetry. I've been writing stories. My husband has been really into apologetics, so he's been using a lot of his time to read and research those topics that he's passionate about. When you're kind of stripped from things that are like easy filler activities such as TV, you realize, what am I doing with my time? Start to just like ask yourself questions of what do I enjoy doing with my free time? Other things we've been doing just personally in our family is I've been baking more with the boys, cooking more with the boys, allowing them to be a part of it, which I've always been really bad at in the past with allowing them to like help with cooking. It stresses me out, but I've actually been enjoying it and it's fun. We get to bake fun things and then we have snacks to eat, and I usually read a story and make some tea, and it feels like a magical fairy tale. Having no TV in our house has made parenting easier, and I know that sounds crazy and it took time to get there, but we don't miss it. I don't miss it. Our house is more quiet and not filled with a bunch of background noise. It's made us go outside more in all of the seasons. My boys and I are now, hiking in the winter time. In all seasons, when it's raining, we are still outside. The boys have raincoats and they're still playing in the backyard. Or if they're inside, they're usually building Legos or doing something productive, usually when they're inside the home. So if you want to make the plunge and you don't know where to start, I would recommend, again, this is just my humble opinion, I think each family is different and what you may need, but I would say if you're asking me. I would start with a 2-week detox. I think it's a great place to start, and I would pray and I would try to just think and try to reevaluate to see if it's something you want to bring back into your family. And if it is, I think there are healthy ways to do it. Honestly, I feel like I'm just kind of like learning to be a human again, if that makes sense. I've been so connected to all of these things that have like dehumanized me, and at the end of the day, I'm just learning to become a human, teaching and trying to show my kids and teach my kids how to be humans in a world that's filled with so much technology, and use these tools that we now have in our world for good rather than for bad. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for being here and for clicking on my video. If you're interested in hearing more about homemaking, screen-free living, minimalism, I hopefully am your gal, and I plan to make more videos. I have taken a little hiatus because I broke my laptop, and so we have a new laptop. I can start creating again, and I'm really thankful for the space. I'm thankful for the people that have commented, and I love seeing just like-minded people. It's really encouraging, and I know it makes me feel less lonely. So thank you so much for being here and for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day.